We are glad you're still watching Mac TV. It is the 8th of November 2014. Welcome to Daily Live. My name is Daglous Sebamala.
And I am Zahara Abdul. But first, we'll look at the headlines. Uganda partners with Norway to create an Ebola vaccine. Are strikes the best option to Makerere's afflictions? We bring you divergent views of students' leadership and academia.
It's very difficult for me.
And we take you to the world of a disabled student struggling with Makerere's changing meal policy. Welcome once again. With Ebola and Marburg causing a scourge internationally, nations are looking for preventive means and measures to deter catastrophic deaths and infections.
Uganda has joined the search in effort to find a cure that will probably make Ebola history in Uganda. Nava Gladys has more on this report.
Makerere University College of Veterinary Medicine, Animal Resources and Biosecurity has partnered with the Norwegian University of Life Sciences in a bid to prevent and control the spread of deadly viruses.
Getting this Norwegian fund has helped us take off on a number of things. We have already organized an Ebola debate because we looked at a situation where most of our staff, most of our personnel in this country have traveled to address continental issues now instead of national issues. And they have left Uganda at risk.
These viruses, Ebola, Marburg, tuberculosis, and rabies, affect both humans and animals. The project is currently focusing on Uganda, South Sudan, and Zambia. With the funding, health workers from the three countries are to receive training and knowledge at Makerere University. They will thereafter avail this knowledge to their governments and communities.
As we talk now, we have started an understanding with the International Atomic Energy Agency in Austria and want to see how we could go an extra mile. One, to build capacity through training of healthcare workers, of veterinary professionals and other staff. Two, work together and see how we can put in place an early warning system, how we could be able to let our communities prepared.
The students too are very optimistic that the funding is going to be very useful in their academics.
This is really encouraging towards us, the students, because we expect to engage more in these activities like developing vaccines.
Ebola in West Africa that has claimed thousands of lives, it is almost impossible to believe that this dire condition will one day be history. However, just like the old saying goes, prevention is better than cure. Reporting for Mac TV, I'm Gladys Nava.
Well, thank you so much, Nava Gladys. New policies in university institutions are often rejected, with REG forcing them to adapt the language of demonstrations. The most recent being the Makerere strike against an overwhelming increment on graduation fee.
Has this become a trademark? Our reporter Harrison Oketh-Chinyo unveils more on this. The 90-year-old institution has time and again found itself in the vicious cycle of strikes. The most sticky issues have always rotated around fees increment, which the university administration has been fast to justify and students quick to dismiss as extortion.
There are so many reasons why students in Makerere go up in arms. The last one was the most unfortunate strike, where the strike was because graduation fee had been increased from 90,000 to 220,000. I found that outrageous increase. First of all, it was not backed by any scientific explanation. If fees was increased by 10%, function of fees was increased by 20%, then 90%, 10% of 90 should have come to 99,000. We don't know where management, the vice chancellor and his team, where they found that new mathematics, that 10% of 90,000 becomes 220. So while I'll blame management at 90%, I hold students, leaders responsible for the last strike at 10%. There should have been better ways of doing it.
However, the guild president, Bowe Ivan, insists that the end justifies the means.
If dialogue fails, if diplomacy fails, We can't sit back and say, well, that's all we can do. I mean, we have to devise, we have at times to change tactics to achieve what we want. And to me, the end justifies the means. So we've tried to work a lot on issues of dialogue and issues of diplomacy, but it seems at times mass action is needed to compel people to do what they are supposed to do. Because when we sit back, some of these things are time bound. When we sit back, we can't achieve anything. So I think to some point, in the extreme situations, demonstrations are the only way we can achieve.
Whether at student level or whatever, we should not resort to strikes. We should resort to dialogue. We should get third parties like we got Inspector General of Police. But why did we bring him once there was a strike than bringing him to talk to management? I think the guild should have contacted him because they have this contact so that they get him on board, talk about their grievance. He, as a neutral party, mediates between the two.
But police has been intervening. You see, when we take mass action, it becomes a necessity for other parties and other bodies to come in and intervene, like police, because they have to ensure that actually people are safe. So we've always done these things, you get. But even then, you realize that when decisions are being made by management and by the university council, police is not even anywhere.
At this point, the answer to whether strikes are the only remedies to issues at Makerere University remain unknown. Oketwinyo Harrison, reporting for Mac Live.
Well, it is from this particular report that we implore you to engage in our poll question of the day. We are asking, are demonstrations the only remedy to political grief? Again, are demonstrations the only remedy to political grief? Be sure to join in our conversation that is ongoing right now on our social media platforms. We have a Facebook page, Daily Live. We also have our Twitter handle at Daily Live. We shall be reading some of your comments later on in the bulletin.
Earlier this year, Makerere University removed meals from dining halls. A new feeding structure was introduced where meals are served at specific points. However, serving points are distant from the halls of residents, and people like Silva, Ephraim, an impaired student, struggles through the changing meal policy. Claire Muhindo shares his story.
A day in the life of Silva Ephraim Diwa starts with a long journey from Mitchell Hall, where he resides, to University Hall, where his meals are served. Silva, a physically impaired student, is one of those that have been affected by the new feeding policy.
Actually, my challenge is that as you see, I use a wheelchair, so it's very difficult for me to come from Mitchell to this end.
Most students with disabilities face a big challenge. Most of those in Mitchell because it's so difficult for them to come for meals this way.
Silva does not stand alone. He lives with Bukenya, his caretaker, who does almost everything for him. But Bukenya is a little disturbed by the long distances.
It is quite challenging because, as you see, it is very far. And sometimes we are late for lectures.
Kitchen staff at the University Hall have tried their best to help students with disability.
They normally come here without their guides. Some of them come without their guides, but we use our workers around to help them, to bring them food and direct them where to sit.
Amid all the hassle, Silva cannot go without saying a word to the university and the government.
Government must come up with a policy that in a big institute institution like Makerere University must have a way of helping people with disability.
The new feeding policy was introduced at Makerere University mid this year when the university decided to scrap off meals from halls of residences. It has affected all students despite of who they are. That's why we are having students like Silva having to walk from Mitchell Hall to University Hall to come and have their meals. I am Claire Mohindo, reporting for Mac TV.
Still to come, University League ends in a scuffle. Students develop traffic control technology. Here is the captivating sight of a creature with 5 legs. This long-horned Ankole bull was born with a congenital abnormality of a twin whose parts disintegrated, but the leg stays laden on its back.
It is a wonder. It looks like a wonder, but also they are parts of the of the genital organs. For example, it can urinate. As it is urinating, the normal walking one is urinating. You can also get urine coming from the other twin on the surface.
The School of Veterinary Medicine at Makerere University secured it for studies.
Now this bull was bought from the abattoir about 8 years ago and brought here for showing to our students and visitors here that such abnormal animals can be born. And this particular one is a bull whose conjoined twin is being carried on its back, as you can see in the picture.
I know. A bull with 5 legs, and I thought conjoined twins are only in humans.
I thought only happens in humans. I didn't know it actually be in also animals. Pretty interesting story right there.
Sure.
Now, moving on the verge of tackling the question of Kampala traffic, 4 students of technology at Makerere University have innovated a traffic control system, which mechanism uses a time to measure to direct and permit vehicle movement. Stephen Mayombe had them illustrate how their project works. Take a look.
Cars hooting, cycles ranting, traffic police in their white uniforms, and frustrated road users is the sight on Kampala's roads. Students of Makerere University College of Engineering, Design, Art and Technology have designed a project, high-tech traffic control, to check the traffic crisis in Kampala.
As you look at this stuff, this project, there's red, green, and yellow. And this side we are having a display. This display shows the time that is remaining for a particular lane to take that route.
So in our project, we are targeting the traffic problems in Uganda. We see that in Uganda we have been having so many traffic problems. You see that you get to a junction, but you don't know what time is remaining for the traffic light to let you go or to stop you.
The project also has provisions for the fast racing diplomats, convoys, and ambulances.
And even when it comes to the president's car or a minister, say there's traffic this side. So these sensors will sense and the cameras will send the signal to the system so that these cars are led to move so that the cars this side flow.
It uses the liquid crystalline display and sends commands to a sensor that shows the remaining time for you to cross over the jam. Kampala has for many years frustrated travelers with traffic jam that students of Makerere University have come up with innovative technology means to address this issue that, if funded, could possibly solve the traffic crisis in Uganda today. Reporting for Mac TV, I'm Stephen Mayombe.
Interesting developments right there. Now, do you know that Uganda's high-level youth unemployment is partly a result of the more theoretical education system? Ephraim Najib Chiramu beats the odds of this education system as he invests in the mango juice production project that puts theory into practice and employs several of his colleagues.
Najib Churam, a student of food science at Makerere University, started the mango juice business 2 years ago with a friend. The business has grown to employ people and the product is distributed around Makerere University and the neighboring markets.
We also produce other juices. We produce cocktail, we produce mango, we produce pineapple, but mango is the most liked by our customers. So that's why we produce it. We give it the first priority.
The juice is made from mangoes that he stores from December and are kept from perishing through pasteurizing and adding preservatives. So how do you store those mangoes? How do you to go by?
So those mangoes, we get the mangoes from the markets like Makerere or Nakasero. We come here and process them, we wash them properly, we weigh them, we slice them and put them in the pulper.
Despite the large market, like any other business, Churam faces challenges.
The major challenges is, I think, capital. Because right now, like the small-scale producers, you mostly have to give in your product so that they sell the product and they give you back the money. Somebody can't just buy your product.
His story proves that students don't have to wait for graduation to earn a living. Reporting for Mark TV, I'm Nachriwa Maureen.
Well, thank you, Maureen, for that report. African fabric, commonly known as chitenji, was aligned for mothers in traditional context on special occasion. Well, this is back and it's making rounds in fashion circles. This is now embraced by the youth and has become a common sight when you walk around the streets of Kampala. Our reporter visited the East African craft village and here are his findings.
The African tradition wear was meant for elders in the past. The trend has, however, been embraced by youth in Uganda today. When you move around Kampala, young girls and boys wear dresses, skirts and shirts made of African fabric. Timothy, who operates a shop at the East African Craft Village, shared his ideal on African fabric.
Okay, like with the youths, I think nowadays they also want to promote their African kind of culture also, not to depend on those bazungos all the time, their styles, their designs and all that. We have to promote also our own African wear, African designs. That's why you see most youths nowadays, they put on those jewelries, African jewelry and all that. The tenjis, even lubugo, those backcloths and all that. Yeah.
Instead of relying on exported clothes from China and the UK, it's about time we promoted our own. Mutebe Kalima reporting for Mark TV.
And in our sports news, the semi-final of the Nile Special Inter-University League ends in a scuffle. An exchange ensued in which KIU's Umar Kagera was battered after Martin Bugembe scored for Moobs in the 63rd second. Chambogo faces Ofunkumba in the last leg that shall determine who, against Moobs, will bag the season's glory this November at Nachivobo Stadium.
Well, we're now going to take a look at some of your responses. We had earlier asked you, are demonstrations the only remedy to political griefs? Now, on our Twitter handle, at Imokola, you say, surely dialogue and discussions could positively affect a political agenda.
And from our Facebook page, Lian Babazi says, students should take the liberty to strike. It always serves for action.
Well, that's our opinion right there. John Grace, you say, there is no harm as long as the police protect and not harm either party. I think she's trying to say, as long as the police is included in this, there is no harm of striking.
Yet Zahara Musoke is of the view that university institutions ought to listen more to students than make rash decisions.
Well, you can continue sharing your views. Because of time, we will not be able to read all of them, but you can still continue debating them on our specific online platforms. Well, you've been a great company. It's been great having you join us on this edition of Daily Live.
Intel Business is coming up, so keep it, Mark TV.
Well, from us and the whole production team, it's a good day.